Hey guys, welcome to week 12 of the build. The hull is now finished and I'm going to tackle the spars. I've already glued the yards, that's 22 by 45s, glued together and scarred here. And now I bought the wood for the mast. This is just white spruce I got from the DIY store. They're not the best boards in the world, as you can see, but I might be able to get something out of this. They are wider than they should be, but this is standard sizes. The same here for the wide stave of the mast. This is 12 millimeters thick, and I hope I can get rid of some of the knots here because this is wider than it should be. I've got 4 of each. Now I need to join 2 of them and another 2, and the same with these ones. So that's 12 millimeters thick, and a 61 scarf makes it 72 millimeters long. Right, I've got enough length so that I can remove these bigger knots from the ends. This would be one of them. If you place 2 clamps away from the scarf won't try to move while you're clamping it. So place 2 away from the scarf and then start clamping the scarf itself. Now I'm going to start working on the boom. I'm going to make the hollow boom. Michael Storer reassured me that he has one of these booms for 5 years now, hard racing, and it's still going. So I'm going to trust him because he's got a lot more experience on this than I do. So I've joined 2 straight edges here, aluminium straight edges. This is the base I'm going to work the mast on. I'm going to glue it, build it all here. This is sturdy enough. If my mast can be this straight, I'll be happy. Right, the boom. Leftovers of plywood. This is 4 millimeter plywood, and I need to get 65 millimeter strips out of this. Okay guys, that's the 4 hours work for today. I hope this cures overnight. I bought the slower hardener this time because it's spring. We had 29 degrees 2 days ago, and today the temperatures are going to drop 12 degrees. So minimum will be below epoxy curing time, temperature. So let's hope it cures overnight. Okay guys, so I've been around 3 DIY stores and I finally found some half decent bits of wood to make the hollow boom. These knots will be removed, these sections, and all the rest seems quite alright. This is actually nice fine grain here on some of them. So yeah, I will use this. So as you can see here, all these I will cut. I'll cut this board here, there. And as you can see, the grain is not that bad. This is actually very fine grain here. Bit of a wiggle there, but it should be okay. And they're more or less straight as well, which is hard thing to get on DIY stores. The drawing also specifies that the boom should be made of 40 by 10s, and these are 45 by 10s. It doesn't sound much, but adding 10% more on the width will have a huge impact on strength. Okay. Now, unfortunately, it's been raining all night, and although it's a bit sunny now, everything's wet out there, so I'm gonna have to work here, and it's getting a bit cramped now. So the top and the bottom of the boom is gluing now, so it's time to shape the sides. Now that one side of the boom is shaped, and look how thin that thing is. I trust you, Michael. I haven't found on the manual any reference to the butt straps or the butt joints being on the same end of the boom or on different ends. I'm going to choose putting this one on this end of the boom and the other on the other end of the boom. Whatever you do, when you shape the boom, they have to be symmetrical, okay? Because otherwise you're going to end up with one of these joints on the outside. The sides of the boom are cut and trimmed, roughly trimmed. The top and bottom of the boom are still gluing, so I'm going to start working on the yard. Now here, the plans call for a rectangular yard, 40 by 45 maximum, with taper at the ends. I will actually change the yard here. The Goat Island Skiff has a 40mm max section round yard. This here, according to the plans, is a much stronger yard than on the Goat. The reason for that is the Aussie Goose is a lot more stable, and if you put two guys hiking hard, puts a lot more force on everything, including the yard. But I will not have two big guys hiking on my boat, and I will not be racing. So I want a smaller yard to be lighter. I'm going for 40 by 40 square, not round like the Goat. That should be somewhere in between the Aussie Goose and the Goat's yards for strength, I would say. So 40 by 40, tapered at the ends. Basically, I'm going to follow the plan on the 40mm sides on the plans. That taper I will apply it to the other side as well, so that will make it square instead of rectangular. And since there's no warp on this piece, thank God for that, I'm going to use the glue line as the center line so I can start measuring the taper. Okay, now we need to mark the lines all around the boom, where we will then place the points so we can put a button and draw the taper. You can do the 391 and then 391 and then 391, but I don't like to compound errors, so I just like 391 and then 72 and then 1173. Okay, now I have to put mark the points here for the buttons. Guys, you don't have to mark the lines on all four sides. If you're confident that you can taper this and keep your plane at 90 degrees, all of the sides at 90 degrees to the other. Okay, so as I've finished marking the third side, I realized, wait a minute, when I go and plane this top, the markings will go. So I've wasted, what, 20 minutes marking one side, then now it's going to be deleted. Oh well, get ahead in the game, dude. Okay, now I'm going to round these edges here. Well, let's see how much this weighs now. .1 kilos. That is still heavy. There's no epoxy or varnish yet. That's because I used red spruce here instead of white spruce. But it's stronger than white spruce. So, well, it is what it is. Back in the workshop. I'm gonna start taking care of the masts, and I'm trying to spread these scarves so they don't all fall in the same spots. So these pieces were much longer than the mast, so I can move them a bit, and I've spread them about 2.5 feet. And I think this is it. For nasty weather again. There's a storm Nelson or whatever. I might have to go and have a look at my cruiser later on. Now these narrow staves are not straight. They've got a curve, both of them. So I will have to draw a center line. Now these are 55s, and the mast maximum width on the narrow staves is 41. So I have to find a mid-center line here that allows me to have 41 at the wider parts of the mast. Okay, you know the drill by now. First the distance lines and then the point. I did not trim this right to the line. There's like a mil, maybe half a mil before the line. So now I'll put this on top of the other piece, mark, cut the other one, and then I'll trim it to the line on both staves. Using these straight edges to work on was an idea from my friend Francisco, and that has proven absolutely awesome. Thanks, Francisco. Of course it helped. I already had 3 of these lying around. I bought them when I needed to refurbish the house, and I had to do a lot of concrete slabbing on the garden as well. This came in handy, and now again. And now I'm going to put 2 or 3 more pins to join these pieces together. These are very, very fine ones. Don't hammer them all the way down, otherwise it'd be very hard to take them off. It's really important that the sides are square with the faces of the stave. Right guys, yesterday I couldn't carry on working because I really had to go and check my cruiser because of the storm, and it's only just slightly better today. So let's see what I can do today. So let go of the mast for now, and I'm going to return to the boom and see if I can get this thing gluing today. I've got the two sides here, I've got the top and bottom, and I've made the two small squares that will go something like that. And as I'm sure you know by now, first thing, pre-coat the gluing areas and the inside of the top and bottom, because these ones were already coated. Brilliant. Okay, the boom, the top of the boom was going in a bit, so I put a screw in there, pull it out, now it's flush again. I think putting an extra square spacer here in the middle of the boom would actually help. Okay, back to the mast. I've cut the 5 small spacers that go inside the mast. They've got a midline on them because I'll use that to align the mast to make sure it's straight. And now I need to cut the longer one. I'm going to cut a bit bigger than it says on the plans, because I've got a couple of knots on the boards near the base of the mast, which I really want to compensate for that with having a solid mast section there. So mine's going to be 1 meter 1.10 instead of 750, I think. So let's cut this. This is only so that you don't have 4 hard edges on the same spot in the mast when it tries to bend. Okay, so that way it's distributed on different parts of the mast. Okay, now the setup to glue the mast. These are the narrow staves, and I have put a shim here. This is, I think, 1.5 millimeters, half the line there, and then a 3 millimeter shim here and 8 millimeter shim at the top. I got these thicknesses by dividing the difference between the base of the mast and the top of the mast, and in different spots, of course. This should keep the mast straight, or at least with the desired shape. Okay, now I'm going to separate the staves. Get the bigger block there first. We need to leave 50 mil there. That goes in the mast step. And then, as you can see, I have this knot here, which is a really bad spot, but that's why I made this longer. This should compensate for it. Okay, and now I'm going to find the right spot for each of them small blocks. You know, because I made this one longer, this is going to be almost the same spot, but yeah. Now that I have an idea where the blocks go, I'm going to put some tape here around the straight edge, so I can mark a center line and keep the mast straight. So this is the setup. Center there. And now the extra long one to compensate for that big knot there. And now let's take it all apart again, so we can pre-coat the insides of the staves and the gluing surfaces. Okay, now I just need to clamp these to make sure they're on the center line there. There's a shim under there, okay. That's spot on though, no need for clamp there. So let's have a look. There, it's in there. And that's that, guys. Nothing else I can do here today. Let's wait for this to cure. Tomorrow I'll put the white staves here and trim that, and maybe trim the boom as well. So see you in the morning. Good morning, guys. So I have unclamped the mast and cleaned all the gluing surfaces with the belt sander, and I have now a string here right down the middle, so I can make sure the mast is straight, because I'm going to glue the first white stave. As you can see here, this will have to move a bit, like that, when I clamp it. Put it okay here, and the same all the way there. This string cannot touch any of the spacers, and to achieve that you have to have a little bit of plywood there, so that if you move it, it needs to move freely. Okay, now I will draw a line here so that I can remove this and know where I need to apply epoxy. As you can see, I've placed the ladder assembly in a way that I can avoid some big knots I've got on this board. That one there, There's still one here, but well, not much I can do about that. If you have wide boards like I do and you do not have a router, I would advise you to do what I did here. Just mark the shape and cut it with the jigsaw before you actually glue it in place, because then it's going to be very difficult to know exactly where this assembly is to cut this stave once they're both glued. I've got the router, so I'm going to have the bit trimming with this as a guide, so I'm not going to do anything, just going to glue this as is. And to be honest, we could glue both staves in one go. If you have narrower boards, I guess you can put both at the same time and clamp it, or put tape around it like I did there, but I see no point in that at the moment. So I'm going to glue this one, and tomorrow morning I'll come here like half hour or 20 minutes and just put this one on top. That's it. So let's start by applying epoxy now on the gluing area. As you can see, plenty of knots here. They're all going to be reinforced by the solid wood in there. Now that I've put these small nails there to guarantee that mast is straight, I can just move the string now. Notice that I'm putting the clamps only where I've got shims, because otherwise it's going to deform the mast. Okay, I mixed 100 grams of epoxy to glue this stave. If you want to do this like I did, you need to put a shim the correct height under each of the clamps. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a mast with a wavy shape. It's not that important up to here, because that's 0.5 millimeter taper from there to here, so you won't even notice that. But from here towards the top of the mast, you do need a shim under every clamp. And it needs to be the right size, approximately, at least. So this is, I'll call it an alternative method. This is not how it's explained on the plans. So if you don't want to go to all this trouble, follow the plans, guys. That's all I've got time for today. Tomorrow morning I'll come here and put the other stave on top and close the mast. That you will only see on the next video. So next week we'll trim all the staves, trim the boom. That's really like that, and hopefully start on the foils, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to get this thing in the water in April. So see you all next week.